Hi gang, Rob here. It is the evening of 27 December 2016. Coming to you this evening with the obligatory annual Top 5 Most Carried Knives video. Changing it up a little bit this year. I think last year, the first year that I did one of these, I did 3 modern folders and 2 traditional slip joint pocket knives, with a special appearance by the always with me Victorinox Cadet. This year we're going to do it just a little differently. We're going to do 2 modern folders, 2 traditional slip joint pocket knives, and 1 fixed blade knife. Yeah, because given the fact that I now work for myself and I work every day with knives, and there's no sheeple around to get scared except in the post office, and my post office knows what I do and they just don't care, believe it or not. I carry a fixed blade a lot, an EDC fixed blade. It's sitting right here. And we're going to talk about this little knife a bit too. But before we get into the list, I did this offer last year for the Apostle P Knife Service in my most carried video, and we're going to do it again. So today's the 27th of December 2016, and we'll start this tomorrow. So any knife order, sharpening order, that is postmarked between the 28th of December 2016 and January 31st 2017, so you have the whole month of January plus what's left of December to get them in the mail. If you send me a minimum of 2 knives in a small flat rate box, or that will fit in a small flat rate box going back, or a minimum of 5 knives in a medium or large flat rate box, free return shipping. So, pack as many as you want in there, but a minimum of 2 in a small box, 5 in a medium box, get you return shipping for free. So that's normally $7 in a small box, $13 or $14 in a medium box for free, now through the end of January. So I know you guys get knives for Christmas. I know you do. So this year's Christmas knives that are going to come, let's face it guys, with less than stellar factory edges. They need to come here, they do. So I'm going to help you. Let's get those Christmas presents presentable and laser sharp, shall we? All right, now let's talk about not a most carried knife, but this knife, guys, is absolutely the most used knife in my collection. It hangs on a hook right above my bench, day in and day out. And there are 2 primary uses that this knife just gets. Well, it gets used hard and put away wet from. First of all, I mask all my blades with clear packing tape before they go on the Edge Pro, or sometimes even the convex knives do, just to protect laser etch logos and stuff. But my tape trimming blade is the pen knife from this here Victorinox serrated Spartan. You can see this blade has some serious use on it. It's kind of been sharpened within an inch of its life. It's starting to look more like a Warney than a pen. It's actually fairly sharp right now. It sort of has to stay sharp to do that. Trimming along the cutting edge, then trimming along the spine. It's coming into contact with steel harder than it most of the time, so that blade gets used a lot. And then this being a serrated Spartan, this blade, which you can see also gets used quite a bit, gets used for cutting packing tape and cutting cardboard and opening packages and that kind of stuff. Great serrations on this. This knife just tears through cardboard. No, I shouldn't say tears. It cuts through cardboard like crazy. And I sharpen these serrations about every 6 months. Just a few strokes down the old corners of the sharp maker rods, and it's right back to full performance. Look at the scales on this thing. They're just ate up. And let's see, I use, do you think this blade gets used a little? That is the can opener / 3mm screwdriver blade. It gets used a lot, especially that screwdriver. It's even got a little twist in it, I think. And then the large, what is that, a 7 or 8mm screwdriver blade. It gets used a lot on some striders and hinders that don't require the other side of the pivot to be restrained. It makes fine adjustments. I don't use the corkscrew much. I do, however, use this, the reamer. This puts pinholes in the top of my acetone bottles for squirtability. It does all kinds of things. So this is a little workhorse. Ouch! Just shut my reamer on my split ring. Not a good idea. Absolutely my most used knife in the shop. Okay, you ready, guys? I'm ready. Let's see. Let's do the fixed blade first, shall we? So this is the Bark River Featherweight Fox River in a left-handed sheath, as you saw. Bark River will always be happy to supply you with one of those for the asking. So this is the beautiful, sort of Loveless-esque drop point blade out of very skinny, I think 85 thousandths stock, which is why I love it. And it's in Elmax. Wait a minute, Rob, you don't like Elmax. Well, I sure like it as done by Bark River. This was the first of their knives I purchased in Elmax, the first of their knives I sharpened in Elmax, and it got sharper than any Elmax I've ever used. And I've had this knife just about a year, and I think I might have touched it up on 2000 grit paper and the strops one time, and I carry it a lot. It's a 4-finger handle and a very short knife, and I think, let's just measure it because I don't remember. So the blade length, guys, is 3 1/4 inches. Handle length only 4 inches, and I can get 4 fingers on it. And part of that, well, really all of that, is due to the design of the choil. You know, your index finger is all the way to the front of that handle. Now, when you go to an overhand pinch, you can come far forward on it and get all 4 fingers on, but if you like to be back a little bit with the thumb in the swale of the handle scale, you just sort of drop the pinky over the pommel. Superb slicer with its nearly full height convex grind, super skinny behind the edge. This one's sporting the red liners, OD green linen micarta, and mosaic pins. Just absolutely love this knife. And I'll carry this one of 2 ways. I will carry it on my belt. A lot of times if I have pants that are sort of loose fitting with deep pockets, I'll just throw the whole sheath and the with knife in my front pocket. Even next to a modern folder, it really doesn't cause any trouble at all. So that is my #1 carried fixed blade. You guys have heard me talk about EDC fixed blades a lot on this channel in the last year, and this knife is kind of why. Okay. Next, moving on to the traditional slip joint pocket knives. Last year, I had 2, and they were a number 77 Yankee Barlow single clip point and a number 38 Titty-Ute Grinling Whittler, both from GEC. Guess what? Almost the same 2, except this year, number 2 is that same number 38 Grinling Whittler Titty-Ute trim, a great user trim, you know, very smooth and very plain in its exterior detail. Great user knife. Blades are satin with no etch. And just to refresh you guys, the Grinling Whittler, I thought when it was made early in 2015, I thought this was true, and I still think it's true today. This is the ultimate statement knife for Great Eastern Cutlery. It is a true split back whittler, so we have 2 back springs, each of them running 1 secondary blade, which are coping and pen, both with half stops and hidden kicks. Those 2 back springs then converge around a center wedge-shaped spacer that terminates here, and they converge tightly together, and then both of them run this super thick stock main blade, a no half stop clip point. The knife is absolutely phenomenal in hand, in any grip, with any blade deployed. Why are these such a statement knife for GEC? Well, look at the space that main blade has to work in, and look how beautifully centered it is. I do not use the typical Whittler / Congress opening method, which would be open the main blade to get it out of the way before I open secondaries to avoid blade rub. This knife, as tight as that is, I can open all 3 of these blades and never rub. It's just perfection. It's great in hand. It's beautiful to look at. Super functional. So that is my number 2 slip joint, most carried for 2016. My number 1 is, guess what? It's a number 77 Yankee Barlow, or Bartham as we call them. This, though, is the 2016 version. If you go back and watch last year's video, you'll notice the knife in that video was an old tan saw cut bone. This is autumn gold, a little deeper, richer coloration on the saw cut bone, and the new blade. The old blade had a long pull that stopped about here, and the swedge wrapped around the peak of the clip. It never struck me right, and I never knew why until I saw Mike's drawings of the 2016 version. What a stunner of a clip point blade that is. That, my friends, is how it should look. And this long pull, which is a little longer than last year's, is also a match striker pull. And all steel. What a beauty. Man, this knife right here to date is my favorite GEC Barlow of all time. I just love it, and I've carried it more than any other traditional slip joint this year. Okay. Last year we had 3 modern folders. This year we have 2, because I got to keep it to 5. So what's number 2? You know, last year I went on and on and on about how my top 5 were a stodgy lot of knives. I went on at great lengths about how none of them are on ball bearings and none of them are flippers. And, well, the more things change, the more they stay the same. In fact, maybe even got worse. This year, my number 2 most carried modern folder is the Gale Bradley 2 from Spyderco. And yes, it's a modern folder, but I am so old and so stodgy, I had to replace those carbon fiber over G10 scales with this set of gorgeous redwood burl scales from Sketchin Scales, Steve Ketchen. I love this knife. It is much more user-friendly as an EDC blade than the original Gale Bradley. A little nicer satin finish, I think a little finer than the first knife. We don't give up anything in ergos, maybe a little. You're not quite as close to the beginning of the cutting edge. but opening and closing, so much more friendly to the hand. A lot less lock bar tension, much easier to get to is the lock bar for release. Whoops. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous knife. And of course in CPM 4, possibly my favorite steel for anything but food prep, because it takes such a fine, sharp edge and holds it so long. And I think I've got this thing laid back quite a bit. I think the secondary bevel's 13 degrees per side with a little 16 degree micro. Spyderco grinds their M4 very thinly on these. I measured this in the review video, but 14, 15 thousandths behind the edge for most of the run of that blade. So it really lends itself to a skinny angle. It is a superb slicer and wood processor, believe it or not. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. That brings us to the last one, doesn't it, boys? You guys remember last spring I made a video that I was pretty shocked and amazed at what I picked up at the post office one day. One of my viewers, subscribers, who appreciates the channel, had sent me this. This is the Chris Reeve Wilson Combat Star Benza. Basically a large 21, double lug, silver hardware, stonewashed clip point with this beautiful sunburst milling pattern and the Wilson Combat logo on the pocket clip. I'm not sure that I like it in hand as much as the micarta inlaid versions, but I do appreciate the texture from that milling pattern. And guys, you know, it's not super extravagant, but it just makes me feel good when I pull this thing out of the pocket. And this has become my most carried Sebenza, even more so than my micarta inlaid large clip point, just because it's special and it likes to be in the pocket. It just does. And as with all my Sebenzas, it has a free dropping blade that flicks open effortlessly and quickly, and it drops free, and it has a perfect centering and zero blade play in any direction. Love it, and I'll probably always love it. Well, that, my friends, is it for this year's top 5 most carried. Sneak in there. How about that? Well, guys, it's the 27th, so 4 days till New Year's Eve. Be careful out there, would you please? I love you guys and don't want to lose any of you because of carelessness on your part or anybody else's. So be vigilant, be safe, keep your imbibing to responsible levels, and we'll see you next year. And before I go, I would like to thank you guys, both my viewers, my sharpening customers, and guys who have become friends who I have regular conversations with. You know, I work now a pretty solitary way. I'm alone in my workshop, in my basement, 5 days a week. You know, it's me and Rush a lot of days. And I so appreciate the texts, the emails, the phone calls that I get from you guys. And you guys I talk to a lot, you know who you are. I really, really appreciate you. And those of you who subscribe and watch my videos and, you know, like them, dislike them, when you comment on them and share them, you know, both sharpening revenue and YouTube revenue, that's my income now. Most of you know that I sort of retired from the car business and made the sharpening service my full-time gig. And I just want you to know that I really, really appreciate the support that you've given the channel. You've allowed me to never work a day in my life because I'm doing what I love. So I appreciate you and thank you very much. I look forward to being with you in 2017 and beyond. That's all for this one. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word is sharp.